Uh, Meditation Reflections, Improviser Augustine, the first shorthand. Today's date, December 22nd, 2023. That's the first day. It's the first day of the solar year. I got the Gregorian monks explained it to me. I don't know why we celebrate the solar new year on January 1st. They speculate it's a tax code. Um, it's probably because the tax code. So, if you ever had a look at the tax code, a PDF or the book, which they do have, you could fill a giant library with it. So, figure that out. Anyway, the ancestors do, and that's kind of what they maintain in that trade. So, I'm sure there's a logical reason. Again, I'm a novice. So, Lord Alpha generation be a full citizen, Cincy de Marne. Freeborn, eugenically. We'll have to reorganize the tax code and criminal codes and etc. around their sensibilities, their manifest destinies. And make it easier. Anyway, Mars is a red planet, and I've seen it. I've verified that it's real. And there is images of it from the 1920s, paintings earlier than that, photographs of it, observe it. I'm reasonably certain that it's actually their planet. So there's many strange traditions of the break off culti from the tradition of Mars, which is essentially, although the scholastic record indicates it was the Roman Empire, um, the architecture doesn't bear out that it was 3,000 years ago, right? So the whole philosophical record of scholarship on the internet, the school's textbooks is condensed, and of course English is a romantic Latin language. Anyway, the architecture is much older, and so anyway, your Lord Alpha generation, 64th period, Sidzi, your peers, reborn, are thousands of years old, and they have what moved me to do this, declaring having all children in the czsariume socially engineered was a video game published by Paradox Studios, called I'm not sure if it was Imperator Row or whatever, but anyway. Could have been Victoria, I don't know. I don't think Imperator was published in the Legacy of the Stop Genocide campaign, but anyway. They, I said, plan for extrinsies and what I don't know to this, right? We have to stop genocide. The one objective, and they certainly did. The ancestors did. So anyway, those are your peers thousands of years ago, and they were organized around the Mars culti. Potentially a Rome, but more like the Po River north of Rome. The fourth dirks of God. And they passed a law, the Marian Reforms, and eugenically, socially engineered the people to full citizenship. So they no longer have a chieftain, clansman, eugenic. They have an independent mind. So that's what it is. Whether or not your nation, because at the same time, because the only thing founded in the legal system of the United Nations, the only contemporary resource for the humanitarian objective, the welfare state is certainly embedded in the social control program. So you're international citizens and nation within nation citizens. And whether or not your nation brutalizes you or whatever, that's your manifest destiny, and I'll certainly try to help with your grievances in this world. We're beyond the horizon of Hades, down to the depths, as your ancients do, who do ultimately just respond to the legality that you're a full citizen, freeborn 64th peerage, and the traditions of your peoples. That is all it is. So that was the White Sun, the first day Grace conceived, White Sun 2013 AD ESC to present and for the next 24,000 years and beyond. Now, ultimately, the objective is to increase your eugenic score in your lineage or your manifest destiny. Don't let them talk you into believing in chatteling the weak is the root to greatness in the golden age. That's fallacy. The demagoguer does that. And the demagoguer's cults are the glutton cults. You're gonna grow up in extreme dystopia and denounce vulgarities. with a lot of fallacy. So whether you accept the traditional Hellenistic ways or the Eastern philosophy ways or one of the 8 deprecating philosophies to healthy religion, that's your manifest destiny. However, that's part of being a Sitsi. Finding the truth and projecting the truth into the public, into the empirics forum. So, which leads to the philosophical question. So leads to the philosophical question. Okay, so these two things coexist at the same time. These two concepts, they're a paradox. One crow of the acrylics, the left crow, is that it's an open society. Everyone's free to pursue happiness and wealth, right? However, they individualistically describe it in their people's tradition, right? However, at the same time, we recognize that everyone conceived before Lord Alpha generation, at least for 3,000 years, is chattelborn. So ultimately, in the ancient laws, etc., and I made a writ gazetting on YouTube about that. Ultimately, they're chattelborn, and I own them as property because that's the ancient custom, and so it's legality and philosophy and actual, right? Nobody else looks after him. So, unlike, so these predecessors all tried to reorganize, and I've spoken a little bit on these. Well, the whole world's never been included in one peerage in citizenship before. That's a first. And full freeborn. So anyway, we mustn't act with haste to try and organize chattel. I've been around them all my life, 41 years now, and their manners are horrible, and they're aggressive barbarians. And forcing them to organize, there's many historic examples of what that does. Right? Jacobean massacres, reactionary, this, that, and the other thing. And there's a traditional economic theory and practice called liberalism. Let it be. That was in reaction actually to the seventh during some gods of Western Europe god. Foundation of a massive trade house to hold the chattel property, humans, and crowd out the ancient demagoguery trade houses. However, they were constantly under attack. So that kind of. Anyway, I don't know if I said it before on one of these or read it, but all the Western Europe's landmarks and sacred places are named in a vein of scholarism that they never want to try organizing a trade house again. However, starvation, drugs, filthy street living, alcoholism, no economic development, no future really for them, and dystopia, extreme dystopia, and then also vulgarities. So I know why they did it, I know. But every one of them has turned rotten. So that's something the Sitsi, the ancients and the contemporaries can learn and adapt sacred knowledge to their actual conditions and debate it and develop compensating mechanisms for what to do. It's the politicians that go that encourage the people, inspire them for something better. But at the same moment, it took 500 years for North America to turn into a ghetto, right? It's going to take 500 years to solve the ghetto, an eternity to maintain it. So, anyway, I wrote on another YouTube gazetting post. I read, no matter your language or origin, ancients and contemporaries, obviously you have to translate it to English for me. And if you have a sound philosophical idea or want to add to the court constructively, email me at improviseraugustine the first 2023 at yahoo.com. It's better to have a writ. I know there's suspicions about and often they don't want to share their sacred knowledges, but however, that's best, and then kind of aligns the barbarians to their people's traditions anyway. Healthy medicine, right? Encourages sovereignty and healthy masculinity and femininity, which ultimately are influenced in any way ancients and contemporaries, right? So, um, the, the goal there is not to cause hysteric reactionary lascivity in the economy and culture, diplomacy, and militas in your Manai regions that your people are from, right? So I mean, The politicians want haste, the people want haste, but however hasty, irrational decisions they will just result in more extreme dystopian and else vulgarity, right? And with these modern currency instruments on the internet and postal service and roads and pipes and the whole infrastructure, we can really leverage improvements of a physical nature, right? Most of it is a wretched shortage of material housing and not planting enough acres, not planting marginal acres where the most fertile are already in production, and just a culture of demagoguery. So, any ideas, any sound philosophical ideas? I know we practice Socratism, Stoicism, Cynicism, down to the traditionals. So we might be in our own little world or whatever, but I think we have a pretty rational idea. So that's why I open it up to all the traditional people, each having their own philosophical tradition. Mightn't we be? I don't think we are, but we mightn't be insular to our ways, not listening to something. So translate it to English in order and email it to me. There's probably something obvious to do. So, um, yeah, I made another rate today. Writ. The reason I keep CBC on, I learned while in prison in the psych ward. I'm diagnosed schizophrenia. Um, Postmodern medicine. This is impossible, however. So I leave the CBC radio on. There's useful empirics forum, and it gives an outlet to the chattel to barbarically babble obscenities or delusional ideas or whatever. So it serves both. Um, when they schizophrenic, those, as they say, have a mental illness, don't have an outlet for rage and disaffected behavior, they become violent. Right? When no one in charge listens. So that's what that's about. So it gives them an opportunity to let off a zinger, right? Or whatever. In between rational discussions about the empiric swarm. We get news from all of North America and Europe. everywhere the Canadian government has diplomatic relations with. So, then I have the internet. I have a 500 gigabyte a month internet. So I can post videos and do a wee bit of organizing. The ancients, they envisioned a grand alpine city with a palace and temples and the court dressed in the finest things and courtesans and scholars all gathering to solve the world's problems. I don't know how long ago that was, but it certainly didn't happen. And any effort to organize it was destroyed by the demagogues. So. Or my great grandfather Merzine as well. James Thomas Hewlin. I believe he's a CVI. Was either conscripted or enrolled or recruited into the British military and fought in the trenches of First and Second World War and handed this sacred villa to us. Everything we have is Lord's we worked or fought for. We weren't granted anything. This is a soldier's parcel. A monastery, so you have to understand the nature of extreme dystopia and denounce vulgarities. It is by the thinnest margin that there's any civilization at all right now. Alright. Study the nature of extreme dystopia and denounce vulgarities. Don't go rotting in the ghetto. I don't know really how to communicate to the 64th peerage. I imagine a lot of what I say is lost in our natural language style differences and ability to social interact. So, well, certainly the ancients looked after us. However, you actually do have to endeavor. It doesn't just, if Endemia gives you anything for free and without work or risking your life, you really gotta wonder what kind of trap you're being led into. Okay, so here's an interesting fact of worship. Okay, so on the sacred Saxon, there's five stones stacked on top of each other, and the top stone is the elemental stone. And the ancients, they moved the stone in the eight sacred directions. Right now, the stone, although it was set when I set it up, it was set to the antennae, which is straight north in the summer solstice, is now orientated to Caesar's hand runic or Freiter line, right, which is freedom. So that's a good omen. That is what the ancients are discussing, or what do you call it? That's the social environment of Hades right now, so that's a good omen. You have the most intelligent, sacred, knowledge focused people of eternity orientated to one task: adapting and overcoming extreme dystopian denounced vulgarities. So, anyway, that's religion. Healthy religion. So, what? Um, yep. First day, grace, solar new year, after winter solstice, white sun. Oh, yes, I know. At exactly 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, I mean to say 8 12s, angle. Now, in the summer, my solar body is directly overhead, or slightly to the angle. However, in winter, it's quite low on the horizon, so the ancestors caught my attention, and I moved over from the sacred fire, peered to the sacred grove, and there, shining brightly at exactly 12 angle, although quite low on the horizon, to the south, was a bright and beautiful white sun. Clear and bold. So, that's also a good omen. I am your sizer. Well, I plan to make a few more meditation reflections. This is the first of the new solar year, so at least 7 more. Even if I get tired of it, I'll find a topic and pontifex. And then it'll become only when there's a topic, and then Red Sun will endeavor to make 16 meditation reflections around Red Sun, June 22nd, 2024. James abundant berries festival in homage to my folk name and ancestors and indigenous culture and that kind of thing. And by then it'll be spring. Well, that's spring anyway, and the berries will be out, and hopefully it actually will be abundant. And I'll be busy outside in the acres. Okay. Improviser Augustine, my first.